Hi, I'm Andrew DeMeo, and this is Authbition. If you're a first-time listener, Authbition is a blended word. It brings together the best of authenticity and ambition. And it's my way of saying, be true to yourself and live your dreams. Today, I'm delighted to share my conversation with Matthew Bamberg. Matthew is a 70-year-old writer who reminded me of one of the most important practices for any writer, innovator, and entrepreneur. Share your work early and often and seek critical feedback. In this episode, you'll hear how Matthew turned a wild Coconut Grove childhood into autofiction, found his people on Medium, survived history, and kept going until the work finally found its audience. I hope you enjoy this episode. And if you like what we're doing here at Authbition, please like, subscribe, share, and all that stuff. We need your human help to get the attention of the robots so that Authbition can grow. Thank you and enjoy the show.
It started on Medium. Well, no, it started 25 years ago when I started writing the stories. And my youth was so crazy. I just couldn't, I was telling the stories to everybody and they couldn't believe the stories. They were so like just weird. Florida man 10 times over. That's what the Miami New Times called it. I was, I grew up into a Florida man just by my
Yeah.
experiences. And so with the publishing process, it began on Amazon. Like, I guess about, I guess I republished it a dozen times over the years. It
Hmm.
started out as Bienvenido on Miami, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I just put it in there. And there were a lot of mistakes, and then I took it off. It didn't sell many, but when I gave it away, people liked what I had, but it was just so raw
Hmm.
that I finally decided to do it right. And then when I did it right, I put it on Amazon first, kind of as a trial. And then friends read it and they let me know about the mistakes. My friend Ken was right there saying, paragraph this on page this. You repeated that. And isn't that the truth? For so many of us writers, I mean, you repeat yourself
Yeah.
if you're not careful. So I went through the whole, first I put it on Medium, a bunch of the stories. Um, so I got some editing, but it doesn't mean it was ready to publish as a book. So what I did was I bought Grammarly. Imagine that. And so I put the whole thing through Grammarly and it got better, but there were still mistakes. And I published it on, then I got into Ingram. Ingram Spark is the platform. Have you ever heard of them?
No, tell me more.
Ingram is the platform where that puts your book out there in the bookstores, online, everywhere.
Hmm.
And it's a wholesaler. And Ingram Spark is part of Ingram. And if your book's not Ingram, it's not going to get into the bookstores. They won't take books from Amazon. And I
Hmm.
found that out because my first goal was to get the book in Books and Books in Coconut Grove. And so now it's there and it's in Coral Gables also. And that's like a massive bookstore, independent bookstore chain in the Miami area. And I worked my ass off, so to speak. Um, Putting it on Ingram because I didn't have a lot of money. I'm retired. I worked as an adjunct professor up until like last year and at National University. And I'm really grateful to them. And so what was the question you asked me?
Oh
Because I can
gosh.
get off.
No, no, no. I was just, you asked me if I knew what a psychic was, and
Oh,
or if I
psychic,
thought,
right.
yeah,
So
and I
psychic
think,
rubs you, and I think I
yeah,
explained it. My
yeah,
mother was an astrologer. She was friends with these in the Coconut Grove community. It was the 70s. I
yeah,
mean, there was an ordinance on Miami Beach giving gay people the opportunities to work in
yeah.
Miami Beach and not get fired. That's what all the hoopla was about. And
Hmm.
so,
But it must have been nerve-wracking as a kid to think that
mhm.
you could be outed by a psychic by, rubbing your back. Like that's good.
It's crazy. And then, but that's just the half of it.
Yeah.
So Anita Bryant was out there, uh, and she was a beauty queen, but she was also an orange juice spokeswoman for Florida orange juice. And she had a character in her commercials called Orange Bird. I mean, how Florida is that?
Hmm.
And Orange Bird said, "Come to the Florida Sunshine Tree," and blah, blah, blah. And then she comes on, "Hi, I'm Anita Bryant." She was Miss Oklahoma who was in the Miss America pageant, but she didn't win. I think maybe she was a runner-up or something. She recently
Hmm.
died. She got a pie smashed in her face, which is all over YouTube now.
I do not know any of this. This is all
Yeah.
news. This is all news to me.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of stuff I know that people don't know, so that's why I'm a writer.
Yeah, that makes sense. I I kind of I want to go back to this publishing process, and I just want to commend you for putting the whatever the current version is out on, on Medium. I think, or not on Medium, literally publishing the book on Amazon because I feel
Well,
like there's
there's a
so
big publication called Prism and Pen,
mm,
and the editor there is the most, I have to say, the most meticulous editor on
mm,
Medium. I mean, if you send him a story, it is going to be taken apart piece by piece.
mm-hmm,
And the guy was a Marine. Um, James is his name. He taught me so much. Um, I had a big publishing complication with him because I went and published something after he edited it, and nothing pisses off a medium editor than doing that, especially after, I mean, he works with me on stories for days,
yeah,
sometimes
yeah,
nonstop.
yeah,
And so if the editors at Medium see that you have potential, or the publication editors, they will work with you, and
yeah.
they'll, like, some of them. Have you ever had that happen yet?
Yeah, I have. It's incredible when a publication and an editor there's maybe too many for me to name, but I write for Namaste Now, and that's Vidya Suri for the narrative arc, and that's Deb Harmon, and I mean I could go on and on. There's more people,
I know
but
Harmon.
yeah, she's wonderful. She's
Yeah.
I'll get a essay rejected, like, sorry, she'll kick it back to me and say, sorry, it's not good enough. And sometimes, she'll tear it up and bleed all over it. And other times she's like, this is great, publishing it right
Mhm.
away.
I've experienced the same thing from her.
And you just never know, you never know, how it's going to land. But that I've learned so much from, but not just the different editors, but then the publications themselves, right? They have what I love about it is they have their, audience that they're positioning their publication to, and you can think of an extreme example, right? Like the narrative arc is memoirs and personal essays. You don't want to, if you submit them something that's a fiction story, it's like it's going to get rejected because it's not within what they're looking for. And to start to understand, hey, I've got a story in me. Wow, I think this would be a really good fit for, this publication. It changes how I think about writing for a publication versus, again, blogging. Like a blog is just, and there's really not much feedback on a blog, right? You put stuff out there and
I had three of them
yeah, yeah,
back in the day,
right, yeah, yeah. I used
before
to,
you.
yeah.
I'm
I'm
older
I'm
than you think.
it's however old you are, you must be in great shape, and
Yeah, I'm into living.
yeah,
Like, I want to live because there's so much, like, I know I don't want it to sound, uh highbrow or anything, but there's so much I have to give through all my experiences, and it didn't happen until I turned 68.
Wow. Yeah.
So I was a very late bloomer. I mean, it happened, but it didn't go anywhere, and now it's going someplace.
Yeah. Yeah.
So any age.
Well, you look younger
So,
than me, and I'm 53, so.
oh, okay. So you look great too, though. But as far, let me see, we went from psychic mediums to Anita Bryant to gay rights. There's so much.
Well, there's so much to talk about.
Yeah.
You put, so the thing is though, you wrote this book, and more than a decade ago, actually published it on Amazon and in a raw format that got feedback from a handful of writers saying or readers saying, hey, I enjoy the stories, but it's not so great, or you got feedback from people buying the book, and I want to commend you for that because I feel like so many of us artists and writers want to have something perfect, and there is no such, I don't think there's any such thing as perfect, but we want to have things to a level of perfection that it's never going to get there. Like it's just never going to get eyeballs on it. And for you to put it out there seemingly multiple, what I'm hearing is that you put it on Amazon and then you pulled it off and you put it on Amazon again and then you pulled it off and then you put it on Amazon again, and how that's
And then
awesome.
Ingram. Then I did
And
the
then
same thing in
Ingram, yeah.
Ingram.
And then in
And I had
Ingram.
to pull it off after I put it in a bookstore. Then I had to give the bookstore 12 free copies for sending it, having
Oh
them
wow.
buy it with a mistake. And
Yeah.
they rode with my wind, books and books in Coconut Grove and Coral Gables. And
Mhm.
yeah, and the whole thing, even with Ingram, all I've spent in self-publishing is a big $85 to buy an ISBN, which you got to
Mhm.
have if it's in a bookstore. Amazon
Mhm.
gives you can get one for free, but they don't want a free one. You have to buy it because then it belongs to you and it doesn't belong to Amazon. If Amazon
Mhm.
gives you one, it belongs to them.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, see, so this is advice that people need to hear. If you're self-publishing, you want to buy your own ISBN. You don't want to get the one that Amazon issues to you. So you could save
Right.
save some people some mistakes there.
You're a good listener.
Yeah, yeah, I'm repeating it because, in case anybody's listening to this and they're like, oh, I was a professor too, so I got to say things at least 3 times for
Right.
for it to sink in. And usually the people that are listening don't need to hear it 3 times.
Right. Exactly. But there's some of the people who like maybe drift off and then
Yeah,
come back because, as writers, we just have a lot on our minds.
yeah, yeah. And we do repeat ourselves even in our writing, right?
Yeah, that's for sure. So right now, I'm going to just go over with you the names of the chapters to show you how crazy. Okay, so first, this
Yeah.
book is okay, so I submitted some of the stories to Medium.
Uh-huh.
Um, Magazines don't need to hear that. Uh, I submitted some of the books to Medium, some of the stories, and some I submitted as nonfiction, and others I submitted as fiction.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did a lot of research on that genre. There is a genre. It's called autofiction. Did you know that?
Autofiction, yeah. Yeah.
So autofiction is wonderful because you can write a story as it happened or as you remember it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's nonfiction from 50 years ago. I mean, you have to make up stuff. So uh, as long as I had to make up stuff, I really made up stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, if it fit.
Mm-hmm.
So first, I'll give you an example. I have a story in here. I grew up in Miami. My best friend was a Cuban girl, and I met her when I was 7. She's everything to me, and she really is. I mean, she's not perfect. I'm not perfect, but we've been friends for all these years. And I wrote a story I started writing about uh, Cubans. I wrote about a Cuban Christmas Eve. I'm about to submit that somewhere. Um, oh, I'm going to submit it to Chicken Soup for the Soul because
Hmm.
they're doing Christmas stories, and this is a really good story, where Jewish people and Cuban people open presents at midnight and just do the whole Christmas thing. And sure, I got made fun of by some of my Jewish friends, but I didn't care. We had a Christmas tree. It's
Hmm.
just the way my mother was. My mother didn't believe in any groups. I've never been, like in high school, I was not a member of one group. And that has its pros and cons.
Hmm.
So I started with this Cuban Christmas meal, and there's fried yucca. You know what that is? Kind of like a
I do. You explain it though. I know what
black
it is.
beans and
Yeah.
pork, and it's delicious. And
Yeah.
and these people know how to cook.
Hmm.
Um, and that has a whole nother story with it, but I'm not going to go into that. Um, then I thought, oh my gosh, I have to write about a bar mitzvah. And I had just been to a quinceanera, which is bar mitzvah's 13-year-old Jewish, and quinceanera is 15-year-old Hispanic,
Hmm.
Spanish, uh,
Yep.
Latina, Latino. No,
Hmm.
Latina. There's no quinceanera for boys. Quinceanera would be called. I don't think there's, who knows? There could be anything. Anyway, and if not, you can invent it, right?
Sure.
Um, so I wrote a story called Kinsava, and it's a combination of a quinceanera and a bar mitzvah.
Hmm.
And of course, rabbis show up and priests, and everything's all mixed up. And then, so I talk about planning it. The character Dominique, I'm the character Marvin in the books. Everybody say, "Hi, Marvin," because that's my alter ego or fictional name.
Hmm.
Um, and the fictional name of the Cuban girl is Dominique. So they don't tell us, but the aunt Dominique has two great aunts that are kind of like her caretakers, and because the mother's a businesswoman, and the two one of the aunts, my mother becomes like best friends with, and her name is Sita in the book, and my mother's name is Eleanor. Well, the one who my fictionalized mother is
Hmm.
Eleanor. So Sita and Eleanor get together at the table and they make this long list. Wait, maybe I was there. You write something, you don't always remember it, but I can't remember. I think I might have been there in that scene.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting there going, uh, Sita doesn't speak much English, and I'm learning Spanish, and the whole thing happens in Spanglish.
Hmm.
So they make a list of things that they have to do. I mean, the Catholic part has to do the Catholic part, and the Jewish part has to do the Jewish part. Only thing is, I was never bar mitzvah. I only had a 13th birthday party because my mother didn't believe in groups. I went to temple up until only third grade.
Hmm.
My mother just didn't like groups.
Hmm.
Uh, my mother was a writer also. More about that later. But I do need this whole 2 hours, don't I?
You probably do.
So there's a story called Kinsava, and Christina and I had our bouts of, she was like my guardian in a lot of ways. She was very good friends with my mother. And ultimately in the novel, it's my mother. Oh, I called her by her real name. Oh, what the heck. Anyway, it's Dominique. She's a fictional character because there was
Yeah.
no Kinsava.
Right.
So
Right.
it's autofiction.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and with autofiction and your real life, it's based on it's based on my real life.
Yeah.
And so I look it up both ways. I actually use my family photos from the 60s, Florida
Hmm.
man camp, I call it.
Yeah.
These photographs are. And the Miami New Times, if you look it up, You just have to look up Coconut Grove Chronicles, and that's the first thing that comes up because it's
Hmm.
a huge alternative paper. And so Kinsava, so then there's the ceremony. It's like divided into three chapters. The ceremony is a hoot. I mean, it's filled with Cubans and Jews. And um, the priest talks, the rabbi talks and says he is not responsible for our family's religious education. I wonder why. And Dominique actually, some of this is true, some of it's not.
Sure.
Dominique had actually baptized me in our swimming pool. You know, she did the whole thing, and she explained to me when I was very young. I don't think I was yet 10 about purgatory, limbo, and hell and heaven. And I found that fascinating. I mean, that's been carried with me until I was an adult. That part of Catholicism is catilótico, they say in Spanish.
Yeah.
Catholicism is just like it's like a it's like real stories. And who
Yeah.
knows what there is? Nobody knows. I know nobody knows because nobody knows.
Yeah, nobody knows. It's well, I mean, and it kind of goes to your autofiction, fiction, and nonfiction. And of course there's memoir, right? I I'm like there's no such thing as nonfiction, right? Like it's if if four people witness an accident, standing right next to each other, and then you have them all write down what happened, then you would say that all four accounts are nonfiction. This really happened. There really was an accident, and all four accounts are nonfiction. But you're gonna get four different stories, right?
Right,
You're gonna have four different stories, and so which one of those is factual, right? And I kind of think of I like autofiction. I've been dabbling in autofiction, but it's to me there's just like this very blurry line between autobiography is like is all the way on one end of I'm trying to write like as factually as possible about my life, and then memoir is like, hey, these are lessons I've learned through my actual real life experiences, but it's not all perfectly accurate. And where I like to put that one, I heard a writer say that a memoir is like a painter painting a self-portrait. And that
exactly.
self-portrait doesn't have to be photorealistic
Right.
to say who I am, to show you my soul. That self-portrait could be, an impression. It could be, um, so that like how true a memoir is, like how perfectly accurate a memoir is, and then where it bleeds from a memoir to autofiction, it's like okay, if I start to
The dialogue.
yeah, well, and invent the name of the town. I think even,
Yeah.
to me, if you make up dialogue, see, and I think everybody's got different rules, right? For me, if I make up dialogue, if I change names,
Yeah, I
that
do all
still
that.
that still counts as memoir. I think the only time, like for me, when I start to call it autofiction is when I literally start to make up the name of like the town. Like the
Oh, yeah.
right if I make like a make believe town
Or
and
Kinsava.
yeah, exactly. Like make something that just doesn't exist, right?
Yeah.
Then okay, then we're kind of getting into the world of auto fiction because it's based on my life, but it's, I'm making a bunch of stuff up. Um, and honestly, at the end of the day, when you get to fiction, I've met so many fiction writers, and after getting to know these fiction writers, they are pouring so much truth. They're pouring so much of their soul and truth onto the
And
page
history.
in
And research.
history. Yeah, I mean, shoot, I didn't know about the Tulsa massacre. Just as an example, I watched like a sci-fi, clearly fiction TV show on, I want to say it was on HBO called The Watchmen.
The Washman?
Like, yeah,
Watchmen.
yeah, The
I think I've heard
Watchmen.
of it.
Yeah, and here I am flipping on a sci-fi fictional thing, and the show opens up with the Tulsa massacre, and I looked at my wife and I said, this has gotta be like fake, right? And then I paused the show and did a little bit of research. I'm like, how the fuck do I not know about this? Like, how did they not teach this? And how am I learning about this real thing
Do you want
from
to just
this?
like sum it up for a second?
Yeah.
Tulsa thing? Isn't it African American, something with that?
Oh yeah, it's one of the largest attacks on the black community, on our own, on American soil, right? So yeah, it was like a brutal, like they were, you know, blown up buildings, and it was just a massacre of the black community in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And it was not in the history books at all. Um, and
A lot
so,
of stuff not.
yeah,
That's our job.
yeah. Well, it just goes to show you that there's a whole lot of truth that is written in fiction stories, and there's a whole lot of fiction written in autobiographies. Like
No clear line.
there is just no clear line, and so we like the calling it autofiction is it's cute.
Snappy.
But it's your story. It can be whatever the hell you want it to be. If you want to call it nonfiction, fiction,
Yeah,
autofiction, it's your story.
exactly. Okay, so I want to do the chapters now. You know all about King Sava. Anyway, King Sava ends with me and Dominic, me, Marvin. Marvin
Oof.
Hammerstein. Oy vey. Anyway, we get in a big fight over Dominic's home has a bidet, and I didn't know what it was, and I started
Yeah.
playing with it.
Hmm.
So that didn't go over well because the bathroom got very wet. You know what a bidet is?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I had never seen one before.
They're fantastic. I mean, I don't know why I don't have them installed in my house.
I know.
It's
Anyway, so I this runs the gamut of my youth. So if gamut's the right word, sometimes I don't use the right word. Sometimes editors actually tell me, what is this word?
yeah.
Why are you using it? So
Yeah.
that's something that people should check out, If you're going to use a word that you're not totally familiar with, look it up.
Good
Otherwise
advice.
you
Good
get
advice for the
nailed.
writer. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And so if you do that with a lot of words like I've done before,
Hmm.
you'll get the editor will give you a piece of their mind.
Yeah. Yeah. I love, have you ever had an embarrassing word or like one of my more embarrassing ones is I used to think it was for all intensive purposes.
Oh,
Like,
okay. That's intense.
for all intensive
Right.
purposes, it kind of makes
What
sense.
is that
And
supposed to
then,
mean?
and then somebody's looking at it, they're like, "Do you mean for all intents and purposes?" I'm like, "Oh, is that what it is?"
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, good. Wow, I've been using that word wrong. I did figure that one out. I think I was in my late 20s or maybe early 30s when that one was pointed out to me. But I love when those we think we know what the words are, and we're using it wrong, or the wrong
Hmm.
word, or whatever. It has a meaning to us. We think it has a meaning to us, but we haven't really examined it all that closely.
So you got to think before you write and also before you speak.
It is helpful, yeah.
So my husband partner has taught me, is it necessary? Is it kind? Is it true before you open your mouth?
Mm. That's good advice.
Yeah, so that
Yeah.
helps. Anyway, another one is be the one you're with. That's one of mine.
Mm.
Anyway, so I start with my birth to life, and my mother wanted a girl. So of course that affected me because when I was a young boy, she told me that. She told me
Mm.
why. She had two
Wow.
boys. She was tired. Um, she was, but the most fabulous thing about my mother is she is a better writer than I am.
Mm.
She read more than I do. She read fiction, book after book after book. And she was published in Phylon, because I'm going to get to my mother now. She was published in Phylon, which is a journal of race and culture. And she wrote a story called The Hypnotist. And I have it on Medium. So if you want to read about it, it's there. You can't get it online. So if anybody wants that story, The Hypnotist, I'll be glad to send it to them because it's so before its time. Um, it's about my mother plays as a young to middle-aged woman, a mom. She plays a straight young man. So
Mm.
there it tells you something about my mother in the first place. Here she is writing a story from the viewpoint of a young man. She's out to get a preacher who is racist. And I'm not going to tell you the rest of the story because what happens is just kooky. I mean, it's believable, unbelievable. I mean, this guy that she is playing goes to the South to,
Mhm.
you know, get this preacher going. And she gets to know him. And then I'm not going to tell you the end,
Yeah,
but it's
don't tell
called
me
The
the end.
Hypnotist. And if you look up The Hypnotist, Matthew Bamberg, you'll find it on Medium or The Hypnotist on Medium. And then my mother wrote one more story, which was my graduate school project of mine and screenplay writing. I should have had all this stuff so I could show you, but it won Best College Stories of 1963
Hmm.
and published by Random House.
Well, do me a favor when it takes me several weeks even to publish any recording.
Right.
Um, but when you get a chance,
Make a reading of it.
Send me an email with like the stories that you want referenced in the links, because
Okay.
I'll include that in the show notes.
I'll
And
do that.
I usually write a little article that says, hey, I interviewed Matthew and here's what we talked about and
I
here's
know, I
some.
saw that today. You
Yeah.
published that today. The list of podcasts.
Yeah.
Today or the other day? It was recent.
You know what? I have no idea, but I do have, I've got a list of who I've had on the show, but then I make a little one for every single show.
And there are
Yeah.
links to every one. I don't know. You wrote it. I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
but you can access them. I'm just letting you know for sure that they're there. I know how it can be trying to remember what you've done. You've probably written hundreds of articles.
Exactly. I don't even remember what I've written, right? You know
I
how it
don't
is. So,
either.
but yeah, you send me an email and just put, please include here's the link to the hypnotist and here's the link to this, and I'll just put those in my little show notes for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this one was the one in 1963 was called The Portrait of Mama, and it was about her mother nagging to move in with my family. I would call it a memoir, kind of. Um, but what was so good about it is like it was so chicken soupish.
Hmm.
It was so like what I mean by chicken soup is, it takes place in an old Art Deco Miami Beach
Hmm.
apartment. So she wrote this story. I was in graduate school at San Francisco State. I was in an inner arts program. It was started by August Coppola. That's Nicholas Cage's father. I was very grateful to that department because we were taught like from the most bizarre stuff to the most free stuff. We were taught everything on the spectrum. Um, and it taught me how to write. And I label myself as text and image because I'm also a photographer. And so we were back at the Portrait of Mama. So what I did in graduate school, I took a screenplay writing class. I wrote a screenplay out of a short story. I actually hired actors from Call magazine in the Bay Area because I lived in San
Hmm.
Francisco. I got the actors. They were wonderful. And then I got some from friends. I got a place to film it. I was able to get all the equipment from San Francisco State for free. Of course,
You sound like Better Call. You ever watch the show Better Call Saul?
no. Oh, I've heard about it. Yeah. Breaking
Saul
Bad's
good.
the best.
Yeah, Breaking Bad, and then he had his own show spin off of that. But you sound like
Right.
that character a little bit. He's like stringing together, like college film crews and equipment, and just stringing together whatever he can to piece something together. That's what a fun
Right.
story. Yeah.
So I did this. It was really funny because there was a dead guy in it, who played a dead guy in bed. It took place in, I want to say, oh, we made an apartment. We had a flat in San Francisco that looked kind of like a Miami Beach Art Deco apartment unit, and there was a I souped it up. It was auto fiction. At any rate, I wrote the screenplay. I made the videotape. There was this professor I had. Since been dead, and I'm so sad. A long time ago, though. Her name was Lee Swenson. So look her up.
Mm.
Um, and she helped me edit that thing on a reel to reel. Have you ever used those?
Yeah, I have. That's
I'm primitive.
really, really hard work.
Yeah. But I learned it and I got it together, and she showed it at a theater we had a show of shorts on a theater on Valencia Street in San Francisco, and it got a standing ovation. It's too bad I lost it was a VHS tape.
Yeah. You don't have it? You don't have
I
it
showed
anymore?
it to everybody. Everybody loved it. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
And there's one phrase that um, my partner and I use all the time. We call each other mama. And then when we have a conundrum, we go, I know, mama, I know. Because that's from the story.
Yeah.
And there's a guy named Mr. Flender in the story. Um, there's also a last name of a vegetable. I can't remember what it is. But this story is just wonderfully sweet. And maybe I can scan it and put it out there. I don't know. Maybe Random House will get mad at me. But at any rate, there's one more story my mother wrote, and that was an accident. So I'm digging through an old box from the garage, and I find this nudie magazine called Spree in the box. And I go, what the heck is this doing in there? There's these women with just gigantic breasts, and I flipped through the pages and I was a little bit interested. I don't think
Yeah.
anybody's 100% gay all the time. And I was a little interested. What the hell is this? I thought I must have been 14.
Hmm.
And then guess what I came across?
Ooh, an article from your mom.
A short story from my mom. And back then, that the places to publish a short story were magazines like Playboy. What was the other one?
Yeah.
Penthouse. They
Yeah.
published fiction and good fiction. It was hard to
Yeah.
put in there. They don't do that anymore. Well, maybe they do. I don't know. I don't even know if Playboy still exists.
I couldn't tell you. I haven't looked
Yeah.
well over a decade, but I do remember reading the short stories in the Playboy magazine. There was some really good short stories in there.
And
Yeah,
but my
I forgot
favorite,
about that.
yeah, but my favorite part of Playboy was in the back, and it was called Little Annie Fanny. And it was so not PC. Anyway, I just love that comic because it was just over the top.
Uh-huh.
I'm a man of camp. I love camp.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I have a picture of me flexing my muscle. See my muscle? I have a picture of flexing my muscle at 12 with a Tiny Tim poster behind me.
Yeah.
I'll put that on there too on your list.
Yeah. Show that muscle again. How old are you for real right now?
70.
70. And let's see
Have
those
the best time
biceps.
of my life.
Let's see those biceps again. 70. Oh, yeah, you know what? Look
Yeah.
at that. Look at that. Yeah,
Yeah.
you could probably curl more than most 17-year-olds.
Yeah. An old friend I had a conversation with an old friend who I haven't talked to since high school. And he
Hmm.
goes, "Oh, Matthew, I remember how strong you were." Because I used to be in gymnastics and do backflips and all that crap. Um, but yet I was a clown. The gymnastics team got a hold of me. I mean, I made a video about anal explosive cooking, but I called it anal repulsive, with the mistake with the words. It's on YouTube. I'll give that to you too,
Oh my
because
gosh.
the young people in my family love that video. And what I do is I get Amy's dinners, a couple of them from the store, and I put
Uh-huh.
them in the crock pot, and then I read the ingredients and add extra, extra wine. Oh no, I add wine. That wasn't in the ingredients, but I add, extra spices, garlic, or whatever it said on the package. And I cook
Yeah.
it in the crock pot. My lovely partner ate it. He said he liked it at the time. I don't know if he really did because he's from the Midwest. You never get to hear the story. I don't know
Oh
how
my.
PC that is either. But
I don't know that if we want to apply a PC filter to this recording, it might just be all a beep, like one long
yeah,
beep.
beep, beep.
Oh my.
Anyway, so I
This,
was talking about that Spree magazine.
yeah, the Spree magazine.
And so I put it back in the box, and I didn't want my mother to know I found out. So I put the box just like I tried to put it back like it was and put it back. And that's my mother's writing. And now I can move on. Okay, I'm going to go through this quick. So there is a preoccupied mother here. That's when I was found at the bottom of the pool and I had to go to the hospital when I was 2. At
So
one of my
say
mother.
back up for 1 second. So well, not necessarily back up, but um, tell us the name of the book. I
Oh,
know
Coconut Grove Chronicles
Coconut
by
Grove
Matthew Bamberg.
Chronicles, and is
That's
each
me.
that's you right there?
No, that's not me. Okay, let me look at this.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
dyslexic. That's me.
That's you. Yeah, yeah, that's you. Not those gorgeous legs on
No,
the
that's my mother.
that's your mom. She has great
She's a very
legs.
attractive young woman.
So,
She got
Coconut Grove.
photographed by Bruno of Hollywood, the same photographer that photographed Marilyn Monroe.
Wow.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
that picture. I wanna put it on Medium, but I can't because Bruno's estate would not appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
People
yeah.
looking at, things you can put up on Medium, you've got your restrictions.
Well, what a great photo. And then the Chronicles are they each like standalone stories within the book?
Yeah, but they're
Yeah.
they're in chronological order, so it
Okay.
reads like a novel.
Got it.
So here we have, can't even turn the pages. That's how you know I'm 70. All right. From birth to life, that's about, oh, I was a head presentation. There's a name for that. I can't remember. Um, and I was a opera addict as a baby, or so I was told by my mother. I
Hmm.
mean, she put me in front of the soap operas and I would never cry. I would just watch and watch and watch.
So you were raised a little bit by the soap opera.
And it's just also funny. I mean, some of it's really sad, not sad, but hard. Preoccupied mother, that's when it's based on when I almost drowned. I mean, how much are you going to remember of that? But I do remember being in the hospital under
Hmm.
attack. So that's a
Oh,
start. And the
yeah.
rest is kind of like autofiction.
Hmm.
Um, New immigrant neighbors, that's the Cubans moving next door, the first
Hmm.
boat in the 60s. And they were all wealthy. They weren't all, most were wealthy. Most were escaping, socialism, which is why,
Hmm.
excuse me, the Cubans in Miami. vote Republican. Not all of them. My
Mhm.
best friend does not.
Mhm.
Um, then there's soft French memories of childhood. So there were next door to us were the Cubans, and next door to them were the French Colombians. This was a family, a French family that moved from Bogota to Miami. They were wonderful. The
Mhm.
woman was just like with the French accent and the good looks. I mean, she was a knockover. Um, then there's third grade tales. That's when I got into the teacher's filing cabinet, got the report cards and graded them. And then I didn't grade just mine. Of course, I gave myself all A's and B's. And I gave the people I didn't like all C's and D's. I got caught by the substitute and dragged into the office. I got grounded forever. And so I'll let you finish that one. Trouble with girls. This is when I'm working on this now. I can't remember with what magazine. Trouble with girls is when my father and my mother were concerned that I was just only friends with girls.
Mm.
And that is the most read one on Medium because
Mm.
it's hilarious because he writes on the back of my report card. I don't know if you were young enough to remember that parents used to be able to write comments on the report card.
Yeah. Yeah, I do remember
My
that.
father says, and I see this, these voices and pictures and images sometimes moving are in my head and when I write. So I see my father's handwriting. Please move Matthew's, Marvin in this case, seat away from the girls. So I'll leave you with that because that ends up really
So is
hilarious.
your character Marvin in most of the stories?
All of the story.
All the stories. Okay.
And
Yeah.
believe it or not, that's what my husband calls me,
Okay.
just for fun.
That's why it's autofiction.
Yeah. Then there's painting a revolution. So I did a lot of research about the Cuban Revolution, and this is where it turns into fictional about what happened in Cuba. I had some sources who were actually there, and I was able to interview one of them. And so I told the story from what the source told me, and I jazzed it up a lot. I mean, there's shooting, and there's the whole thing, Castro running around Cuba, and so on and so forth. Then there's a tale of heavy proportions. This is a very not PC politically correct, not politically, wait, not politically correct. I still have it's ADD, that's what it is. I thought it was dyslexia, but it's not. But I get things turned around.
Mm-hmm.
So I really have to watch myself. A tale of heavy proportions is when a person, have you ever had somebody come stay with you and you had to call them uncle or aunt? One of your parents' friends?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, friends of the family that you refer to
Yeah,
as like
yeah,
aunt or
yeah.
uncle. Yeah,
That can be
sure.
a
Yeah.
total disaster, especially if he snores. He was heavy set. I want to be nice. He was he was obese, okay? And he he was my roommate in the bed. He slept in my bedroom. There were two single beds, and he
Hmm.
slept there. I hated it. I can't tell you how much I hated it, but it makes a really funny story. Uh, that how am I on time?
We got, a little under an hour left here. So,
Okay,
we're doing all right.
maybe I'll finish short in case people get bored. Um, two.
Yeah, and you don't have to read out like the whole
No,
like every chapter.
there's
It's
really two of them. Anyway, you get the idea.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
I'll just look the most popular ones that I ran through on Medium was I became friends and I went to Coral Gables High School and I gave this real name, the Miami Herald, and I give that real name because it was horrible what they did. They put in
Mm,
like high-powered cameras across the street to film
mm,
the students who were like at the time 15 and 16
mm-hmm.
in an LSD drug deal. And that
Mm.
ruined my high school because I'm up in the picture like this with wait, my hand out in the guy's lunch bag. In his lunch bag is LSD, but also I'm a sweet freak. His mother made really good cookies. I was not innocent back then, though. I did do drugs, okay?
Sure, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
a lot of drugs. I mean, look at me now. Can you tell? I'm just joking. You gotta have a sense of humor. So here I am with my hand out, and then it's in the front page of the local news section. My father and mother woke up that morning. They didn't know about it, and they just went crazy because my father was a CPA, and and my mother just knew everybody, and it was just horrifying. I walked the next day into chemistry class. First, my father took me to the barber shop and shaved my head. I put on one of those snow caps,
Huh.
and I walked into chemistry class for solid, the whole class. They were laughing at me, not with me, at me.
Oof.
And it was awful. And, but I got off. They found out I wasn't the one selling the drugs. And even if you were the one selling your drugs, if you're 15, you just don't publicize that in a newspaper
Yeah, okay.
on the front
So
page. They would never do
what
that now.
newspaper did this?
The
This is
Miami Herald
the
got that.
my
The Miami Herald in
oh
1972.
the Miami Herald in 1972 took pictures of high school kids and put it on the front page of the newspaper.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And believe it or not, I just pitched them a story and I didn't hear from them. Now it's at the New York Times. So I'm hoping for the best because I know the editor there. Because oh, this is a good tip for everybody who writes. Get to know editors.
Yeah.
They don't have to accept your stories, but get to know them anyway. Because I just had a cover piece on the Gay and Lesbian Review about Robert Mapplethorpe. Do you know who
Hmm.
he is?
I don't.
He is one of the most famous photographers of the 20th century. And what he did was when AIDS came out, and this is not very, he photographed flowers beautifully. Everything was flowing. And you know what? I'll let you buy the Gay and Lesbian Review January, February issue, and you can see it yourself. You can
Hmm.
order from, the editor's name is Stephen, but it's the Gay and Lesbian Review International. It came from Harvard. Um, it came from Harvard Gay Group, and it's one of the, few magazines that they print. And I was really honored to have that. But the way I got in there is I didn't get to know the editor. I got to know the web editor and editorial assistant. And
Hmm.
we became like pen pals.
Yeah.
And I just kept throwing these ideas at her. She loved my ideas. And all of them got rejected, one after another, after another, after another, till
Hmm.
finally they she the big editors, well, she was a big editor too, but um the main editors, the editor in chief, finally acknowledged me, and he sent me a list of magazine topics. And
Hmm.
so my point is I got to know this, like, not the biggest editor, but an editor. I communicate. Oh, no. She took my story. Wait. She was a web editor and she took my coming out story in San Francisco. That was the first story I had published in there. It's
Hmm.
and then the Robert Mapplethorpe came along, and I got to pick. And one of them said kink issue. And I saw kink issue. Boy, that's going to be a collector's item. How many how many kink issues do magazines have? I mean, it was
Hmm.
like 50 Shades of Gray or 50 Shades of Gay, whatever. It's a very tasteful magazine. So my article was going to be a little column. And then, wouldn't my luck be it? The one of the cover story guy dropped out, so it ended up as a cover story.
Wow.
And that has enabled my book to make it into Fabulosa bookstore in San Francisco, in the Gay and Lesbian Center bookstore in New York City, which is now being bought up by the Brooklyn Gay Bookstore, no, Brooklyn Bookstore.
Hmm.
And so he put up a display for it and everything. And he really liked my story about, I don't know if he even read it, but he appreciated it. about Robert Mapplethorpe. Because Robert Mapplethorpe, everybody should look him up. He was a character.
Hmm.
And the main thing I remember about him was back in the 80s, and you can't find pictures of it. He was the first person to photograph the lesions of Kaposi sarcoma. You know what that is?
I do, but maybe explain it.
Purple spots, and
Hmm.
it was like a death sentence.
Hmm.
And I was in San Francisco at the time, scared crap out of me. Uh,
Yeah,
but then they had a lot
that
of
must have
info.
been really, really scary to grow up in that.
Yeah, a lot of friends died, but fortunately, the gay community went into like overdrive with the safe sex thing.
Hmm.
And you're damn right, I followed those safe sex guidelines
Hmm.
back in the day, and that's why I'm still alive. Um, where were we?
Wow. I mean,
So much stuff,
it
huh?
doesn't even matter where we were. I think the one of the messages that I'm hearing is just the persistence that you've had. You know, again, it's like putting a book out there and in its raw format and putting it out there again and again and again, you know, and the persistence of getting to know, you know, maybe not the highest editor on a totem pole, but just getting to know someone at a publication that you're interested in getting something in, you know, would love to have something published in this thing one day sometime and submitting, you know, multiple essays to them and getting those rejected. I mean,
Yeah, it's a
your
process.
persistence is incredible, and I think that's really the message that I'm hearing today, and also that you're just you know you're unabashedly yourself. This whole thing, you know, this show, it's all about authenticity and ambition, right? Like be your true authentic self, and then the drive to do something. And man, if you are not an authentic dude and ambitious
Learning.
about getting your story out there,
Uh,
it's inspiring.
well, I think this is a good place to close because people have heard me for almost an hour and a half, and um, believe it or not, I have things to do.
Yeah, no,
But
that's yeah.
this is long enough.
Sure.
I'll send you the resources and the links.
Yeah.
I'm so appreciative to you for doing this. I mean, it's fabulous that you're doing this because it's going to go somewhere. You're a go-getter, and I can see that, and that's why I'm here. And you're a nice guy, and I read about you. I read some of your stories, so that was getting to know you. That's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
with that, it's Coconut Grove Chronicles. It's on Amazon. It's on everywhere. It's at Walmart. Okay, go figure.
Yeah,
And at every major bookstore, independent bookstore online. It's not on all the shelves.
right.
And for writers, you got all these. I've given some tips about just getting yourself out there, being friendly. If somebody gets back to you right away, that's the friend.
Yeah.
Any big publication, if they get back to you,
Yeah.
not if they don't get back to you, but if they
Yeah.
get back to you, that's your cue to just keep diving in there. And that's it.
Awesome advice. Man, thank you so much, Matthew. This has been
Yeah.
so much fun. Thank you for the
Yeah.
laughs, the smiles, your sense of humor. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I wish you a ton of success.
You too.